choice, like, it's in your veins. So I'll go ahead and let you start, Chris.
Okay. So, hello everybody. Thanks for coming.
Oh, so Lauren's on the call. Sorry, maybe we should say who's on the call.
Well, I see Merrick is with us. I don't know if Merrick can hear us. We haven't gotten verification of that yet. But you said, yeah, Lauren is on the call, right? She called in. Has anyone else called in? No? Okay. Quickly, who do we have here? We have, I'm sorry,
John Robertson.
John Robertson, and you were? John Campbell. Got Pearl White. Winnie and Gary and Rebecca. All right. I'm Chris Phillips. I'm the expeditions coordinator. I'm not going to talk too long here. I'll pass it over to Becca pretty soon here. But here's what we're going to go over. We'll try to keep this under an hour. Some quick welcome introductions. Talk briefly about the choice model development and its importance and its relevance to this mission. We'll run a quick overview of the trip, what exactly you guys are going to be doing down there. I wish I could say we, but I'm not going to be going on this one, so you guys are going to be doing. We'll talk about the expedition experience, what you can expect, in terms of what you can expect and what you can expect not to expect, I guess would be another way to put it. Talking about some suggestions for packing and also registration. That's where I'll come in and have the notable spiel at the end. And then we'll wrap it up with a quick Q&A, answer any questions you may have. And with that, I'll probably go ahead. Well, we got Becca, who's right here, and we also have Jonathan, who's here. They're going to be expedition leaders. And with that, I will pass it off to Miss Becca.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so as you can see here on this slide, first of all, my name is Rebecca Sosa. I've been working with Trace for about the last 10 years. And I started off as an intern, spent about almost a year in country with our teams. You can see here are some of our Bolivian staff here who we will meet on this trip. The main thing I want to point out here is just that these folks that we're going to be meeting with, they work day in, day out with communities in Bolivia. All of our staff in all of our countries is native to the countries that we work in. And so they have a very needed expertise, and they will be welcoming us there, coordinating everything while we're there, and continuing to work on the project when we leave. So from here, choice model, this is going to be kind of high level. So Choice Humanitarian has been around since 1982. We are a certified nonprofit organization. Dr. James Mayfield was the founder of Choice. He's an expert in international development. Choice has a proven model of self-reliance. So we really work with Native and country teams. They really are the ones driving the process, the vision, and bringing themselves out of poverty. Like I said before, one of the things that makes Choice really unique is that it is led by local in-country leaders, and we will be looking to them often on this trip. We'll be collaborating with them closely. We currently work in 7 countries. You can see here. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So we have 7 Native and country teams. I said I was going to try to keep this to an hour. So if there are more questions, raise your hands or say something. Lauren, are you here? And Merrick?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. So Merrick, can you hear me? And is there anyone else on the call that I'm looking?
Yeah, I'm hearing Merrick. Looks like just turned off his mic, but I still can't hear him.
Merrick, can you hear me? Are you texting me? Yes. All right, Merrick, I hope you're here. I'm going to continue on. So the choice model is very focused on working with our in-country directors and teams. We're currently working in 10 to 30 communities at a time. So when we go to Bolivia this trip, we will be working with a community that Choice has been working with for 6 months. Our teams are also working with a variety of other, communities and other leaders. So we talk a lot at Choice about the model being kind of viral, where it's very much about handing off the information and allowing other people to teach others. So this is, I guess, a new slide on the choice model. I haven't necessarily seen this one before. So The choice model essentially has these different kind of pillars. So when we work with a community, we don't just go in and we don't just say, oh, you don't have water here, so we're going to go ahead and put a water system in, and then we're going to leave and you're not going to know how to do it. Choice partners with communities for 3 to 5 years, and we work with communities that are motivated and ready to make change in their communities. So these are some of the main areas that we focus on. First is listening, bringing the community together, making sure that all voices in the community are heard, and then essentially strengthening the leadership in the community so that community leaders are able to really drive those projects and programs long term. From there, we come up with a plan. So in this case, in Bolivia, we will be working on a school restoration as well as a greenhouse. And so we have to come up with an entire plan. The community has to say, okay, what local resources do we have? What resources do we need, or what areas of technical expertise do we need to be able to execute on this specific project? So from there comes the execution phase. Yep.
I want to speak up. So
you want to stand over here, maybe? Because they're going to record this.
Yeah. So one thing, with the planning and the community involvement, I've out of the, I think, 7 trips I've gone on with Choice, we've never finished a project while we were there. But every time I've gone back to the communities, they've been finished. And so we very likely won't finish the project while we're there, but the work continues after we leave, and it's and so even when we're gone and done, the community will continue to work on it. So that's part of it. Yeah. So part of it, so once we plan it, we execute the project. So like I said, it's when we're there, it's after we're gone, and then we take what we learned on the project and apply it to the next one. Each community and each project is unique and different. They all have their nuances. They all have their challenges. Some have more resources than others, but it kind of gets bundled and rolled into the next project and the next community. So some communities we work on healthcare, some with economic development, some with education. It just varies on what that specific community needs.
So as Jonathan just mentioned, Choice is a holistic organization. So the focus of the trip really depends on what the community has decided on. So again, this particular trip we're focusing on education, but it could be a variety of other things just depending on the community that we're working with. Oh, that's true. The greenhouse will be health. That's a good point. And environment, I suppose. So celebration is something that we talk about a lot at Choice because it's a really important part of our model. And when we finish a project, last time Jonathan and I were in Bolivia, we went to a water inauguration, and it's a big party. Everyone gets together. The community has been working sometimes for months, could be a year on a project or longer. So they take their celebrations really seriously. They get together, they make food, they share their food, they dance, they play music. This is a really important part of the project. I don't know if we'll have a chance to see that this trip, but it's always one of our favorite things to be a part of.
You may get more tired dancing than you do work. And that's not an exaggeration.
That's true.
It'll go for hours.
One song.
Over and over and over. You'll hear it in your head for weeks.
So something that's important on an expedition is that we understand that there are going to be things on this experience that are known. So for example, our itinerary, our goals, accommodation, safety, we're going to do everything we can to control the things that we can. And there are going to be things that are unknown. There are going to be challenges that we will be faced with. It is pretty much inevitable that things will not always go the way that we expect them to go. So we may have travel delays. We could have some sort of unforeseen need, or there could be some personal health, like whatever that is. Our job as leaders is to make sure that we are communicating those unknowns. So as our schedules do change, or if something comes up, that we're communicating with you every step along the way to make sure that we're all on the same page, to make sure that we're adapting accordingly. Do you have anything else to add to that?
You know, one of the questions people always have is on safety and health, and the in-country directors and their staff do a really good job of making sure that we travel safely, that the food is well prepared, that it's clean. I've never seen anyone get sick from the food, and so if you listen to what they say, follow our directions, everything should go just fine. If there are changes to anything, we'll let you know. We'll adjust, and there probably will be something that is different than what we planned, and that's fine. I think you know, talking about the pace of the project, that's important to remember, is that their pace is not always our pace, and we are guests in their village, and kind of work the way they do. They're incredibly hard workers. Last time we were there, we were doing a water project, and the villagers said that, you know, if the villagers wanted water at their houses, they had to contribute. They had to work on the water line. So we had 80-year-old grandmas taking shovels out of our hands so they could dig the water line. I mean, they're hard workers, but it's important to go at their pace, work with them, and not try to push it too far one way or the other.
Nice. Hi. Yeah, maybe you just introduce yourself.
Hey guys. So we just had a couple other folks join us.
Would you mind introducing yourself really quick? I'm Rebecca, by the way.
Oh, I'm Mark.
This
Morgan.
is John.
Jonathan.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
And Angie. And then Peyton is our 15-year-old. And Keith, our 12-year-old, and they'll both be going with us.
Okay.
And then Courtney is 9 and Eli is 5, and they'll be staying back.
Okay. Good deal.
First one.
We were convinced by some friends.
You got good friends.
Okay, should
Bruce
we
Wayne.
go legal? I feel like we've passed by a little bit. I'm just trying to decide if we should, for a second, maybe reorient.
Yeah.
Do the kids also, should I get something for kids? Okay. Okay. Okay, so this is a perfect example.
Unforeseen
Right, exactly. This is a
like we were talking
perfect
about.
segue in. So yeah, we were just talking about different things on the expedition that we're able to, that are kind of known and in our control, and other things that we may not be able to account for example, traffic, right? Like you expect to get somewhere at a certain time and then plans can change. So part of being on expedition is being flexible and adapting to the situation. John and I will do everything we can. If things are, you know, if something comes up or there's some delay, we will communicate that. That's part of our role. So thank you for being a perfect example for this particular slide. Yeah, no problem. Okay, we're gonna jump in really quick to the expedition itinerary. And I know you guys got here just a little bit late. Do you have kind of a general, I know you've done research online and you've probably talked to some folks. Do you have a general kind of understanding of the organization and what we do?
Yes.
So and we'll be talking, John and I we'll be doing a lot of talking together on the trip. We're gonna be, you know, in the evenings, we'll talk about our experience. We'll have a lot of interaction with the community. So there's going to be plenty of time to really like dig into our model and why we do the things the way that we do in this organization. And we have plenty of time for questions at the end as well. So if we've missed anything, we're going to be going over it again. So this is kind of like the nuts and bolts of our actual trip, when we get in, and what our plan is. So has everyone seen this itinerary, Dad? Okay, good. I'm glad. Okay, I'm sure you went through the whole appendix already as well. Okay, so this is kind of just a quick kind of high level overview of our itinerary and what our plans are. So I did talk to Jordan today, who's the expedition director. He did let me know that, you know, we're planning to go to this specific community. There are kind of some political things going on in Bolivia. We are working in several communities. So kind of depending on where communities are in the process as we get closer to being there, there's a small chance we could end up in a village nearby, but I will keep you guys posted on that. In terms of the Eagle Project, I have some information for that regardless as well. So I hope everyone has their flights purchased, or they're going to be purchasing them soon. So we'll all be getting in on Saturday morning. So on here it just says that we're all going to meet in La Paz before 8 a.m. on that first day. So our plan from there is we're going to go straight to Copacabana, which is going to be about a 3.5 hour ride and probably bus or vans. And we're going to be in Copacabana that evening and then some the next morning. So we'll have some time to actually just like kind of check out the area. The in-country teams, I'm sure, have already scouted out a couple places for us to go. So we'll do some kind of exploration those first days. Has anyone been to Copacabana? Have you? Did we go there also when we went out to Isla del Sol?
I don't think we did.
Sure.
I think the one right on the shore?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where we jumped in.
So that's where we're going to all jump in the lake together as a team building experience. Yeah. So just give you a warning. So after we kind of spend a little time in Copacabana, we're actually going to be on the Isla del Sol, which is somewhere that we visited last time we were in Bolivia, and it is beautiful. The area is absolutely stunning. I'm sure we're going to see some really great sunsets, and it's going to be a really gorgeous place to be in. Our general itinerary throughout the week is going to be, we'll get up. Let me tell you about the accommodations first. Let me take one step back. So we're going to be staying in a schoolhouse. Sorry for all I'm going past. Wow, I should have looked at these slides beforehand. Okay, you know what? Let's get back to that. For whoever watches this later, sorry about the schizophrenic. Okay, so let's take 2 steps back. So we're going to be staying in a schoolhouse together. There may be some different rooms, but it will probably be a couple big rooms. The floors are going to be cement, so you'll want to have either an air mattress or pads and then warm sleeping bags. So the general itinerary, we will have electricity, by the way, and we will have a latrine, which is great news. The general itinerary throughout the day will be, we'll get up in the morning together, we'll generally talk about the day and what the plan is, but for the most part it will be having breakfast, working on the project together. We have some kids on the trip, which is super exciting, so we'll make sure to integrate some activities with the kids, and so there'll be plenty of kind of interaction. The community will invite us in. They'll generally do some sort of you know, dancing or
there's
music.
Typically kind of a welcome ceremony, welcome party the first day.
Yeah, so we'll get to know some of the people that we're going to be working with throughout the week, and so we'll work together. We will have a lot of interaction in terms of, sometimes we'll sit together and talk about, you know, ask each other questions that we may have, you know, as we see things that we questions about, and the Bolivians also have questions for us, right? So we'll have a chance to really kind of dig in and work together. We will have one day where what did Jordan call it? We will have a day where we work together with a family. So instead of working on the project, which Jonathan mentioned a little bit earlier, we're not really there to like drill in and finish a project. We're plugging into a community's process. So we're there to support them, to give them motivation.
I'll get the lights. Doors should be locked.
I'll grab the lights out here.
That would be good. Okay, awesome.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Tiff. See you tomorrow.
Sorry, would you mind, is that Stephanie?
Oh, I'm sorry. I had a coworker leaving and she said goodbye. I forgot that I wasn't on mute.
No problem. Yeah, so our job during the week, and we'll talk about this in more detail, but it's not to finish the project. We're there to provide support, motivation, to share an experience together. And so one of the days we will work with the family, and we'll just do whatever it is that they do on their normal day. Maybe it's going to go milk a cow, or it's going to work in the garden, or it could be a variety of things. So our job that day is to kind of understand what is the day in the life of a rural community, a rural Bolivian, as opposed to spending the whole time working on a project, because that's not their daily lives.
Our expectation is to get us English, right?
Sometimes I surprise us.
Sometimes you get surprised, but yeah.
Probably not. So we're gonna expect you to learn Spanish before you get there. If that's, do you speak some? Okay, so it's a good place. It's
Oh, yeah?
a good place to practice your Spanish. Are any of you guys learning Spanish at all? Yet? Good. Well, we'll do exactly. This will be a good boot camp.
Do you have anybody to speak Spanish? So,
So both of us live looking.
Let's get some Spanish.
Yeah.
Pearl.
Been doing Rosetta Stone.
Good. Okay, good.
Right along on that.
Good. Okay, so just to kind of wrap up this general itinerary, we'll be in the community until that following Friday. And we'll generally have, you know, kind of a closing ceremony or a closing meeting with the community. And at that point, the next day, we'll head back to Copacabana. And, you know, the following morning, everyone's kind of set to go. So we'll, once we get to those stages, you know, we'll generally do like a final dinner together and take a shower, you know, after all of that time.
Not together.
Thank you for the clarification. I just want to make that really clear. Does anyone have any questions just about the itinerary? I know that was kind of quick. I know most of you have seen it. Any questions on that? No? Okay. So now all of these slides. I'm going to let Pearl just for a couple minutes. Do you want me to skip Days for Girls, Pearl? Okay, Pearl's going to talk just really briefly about Days for Girls.
Merrick, text me if you have a question since we can't hear you. Did you hear that, Merrick? You can text me if you have a question since we can't hear you for whatever reason. So Merrick, who is mute, as you will learn only on this, not in reality. He actually did his Eagle Scout project is Days for Girls. So Days for Girls is something that only the women in the group will participate in the village because that's culturally appropriate. However, we will go over, when we're in the village, I'll go over the training with everybody just so everybody gets a sense of what we're doing and why. So we don't need to go into that in too much detail here because we'll go into it in the village. But suffice it to say, Days for Girls is a partner organization of ours. And the focus with that is on female health and hygiene. So we will go, I have some photos here. These are, this is training in Kenya that we just did. We'll go over this. This is the hygiene packet. So while we're there, the women, and we'll do all of this in the village. We'll meet with the girls and the women in the village there, and we'll talk to them about female health and hygiene and what it means and question answers and how to use this. Because the problem is when someone's living in extreme poverty, they don't have access to the supplies they need or the knowledge about what's going on in their body. So that's our job, is to go there and we don't actually do it as the expeditioners. Our in-country team does it. We'll be the support group for them. We've trained the in-country teams on how to do that because that's culturally appropriate, and that is the choice model, is to not have us do the training. It's our in-country teams that will be doing the training, but the women will be in there. And so when a woman is living in extreme poverty, that's why it says 5 more days. Approximately 5 days a month, she misses her life. She doesn't get to go to school. She stays, in her home, without supplies. You really can't be too mobile. And so it perpetuates the cycle of poverty because they can't graduate from high school. So that's what we're trying to do. That's the main underlying goal of this program, is to help women stay in school, help them be more contributing factors in their community to help break the cycle of poverty. And if you have any questions about that beforehand, I'll post something in our Facebook group, a link to it, so you can go in and look at the organization. Then when we're in the village, we'll go over this more.
Thank you. One other thing I just want to point out about this. So Days for Girls is its own nonprofit organization. Is that correct, Pearl? So one thing that Choice does, we mentioned that Choice is a holistic organization, that we focus on different areas like economic development, health, education, environment, cultural preservation. So we do partner with other nonprofit organizations that can kind of plug in and, understand how our model works. And I think this is a really great example of how we work with other nonprofit organizations. And they're doing really great work. All right, where are we going? We are going to Bolivia. You can see here is La Paz. I'm gonna just get a little bit closer here. So we're gonna be at 13,600 feet, which is pretty high. How high is Solitude? Isn't it Solitude like 13,000?
The highest point in Utah is about 13,400 feet.
Okay,
So the ski resorts go up to about 11,000.
okay. So we're gonna be right when we get there. La Paz is the highest capital city elevation-wise in the world. And some people, do you think I just made that up? Yeah, Google it. I mean, that might have been something I just picked up. But anyway, it's really high. Okay, Pearl. I said capital city though. It's not the highest place in the world. It's the highest capital city. So right when we get into La Paz, the altitude can hit us immediately, right? So if you've heard anything about altitude sickness in Utah, I think we're probably a little bit more aware that that is something that can be an issue. But we will be able to kind of spend a little bit of time right off the bat, kind of trying, adjusting and making sure that we're drinking lots of water and working through any sort of altitude issues that we may have. Hopefully we won't have any. Yes. I wonder if there's,
So the red dot is Copacabana.
That's right.
And then you see where it says El Alto International Airport? That's where La Paz is. So La Paz, the city of La Paz is kind of in a big bowl. And then El Alto it's just kind of an expansion of La Paz, but it's up on the plain. So it's a really neat city just because it's kind of this big bowl. We'll be staying in there our last night, so you'll get a chance to see
It's
it.
really beautiful. So yeah, that's kind of the drive.
Similar in elevation.
So, and are these the highs and lows?
Copacabana.
Similar.
Rebecca,
I'm sorry?
are these the highs and lows? that we're
Correct.
gonna expect at the end of the year?
Yes.
So we're looking at a low of minus 45 degrees Fahrenheit. That's actually extremely cold.
Yeah, that's 40 to 45.
Oh, 40 to 45 degrees, not minus 45. Oh, okay, never
Okay, so
mind.
everybody making note, we can tell who the troublemakers are.
Okay, so Dad, I want you to relax, everybody.
It's not very cold at all.
There we go. That's what I'm saying. Okay, but here's the thing. It actually is cold when you think about, yeah, it's cold at night, it's cold in the morning, and we're not used to being outside all day. That's exhausting just in general. I mean, Winnie works outside most of the day, and like every time I go on an expedition, I'm like, why am I so tired? But you're being exposed to the elements all day, whether there's sun or wind. So we talk a lot about the layering system. Are you okay, Dad? I feel okay. We talk a lot about just wearing lots of layers, right? So you've got your base layer, you've got your fleece, you've got your jacket, you've got your gloves, your warm socks, right? Does everyone kind of feel comfortable in terms of that general system? And if anyone has any questions on packing, we can talk in more detail about that. We'll get to the packing list soon. But that's, I would say, the general idea is that you use the layering system. And honestly, like during the day, it can get pretty warm, especially if we're working. So you'll want to take some of those layers off. Okay, so this is some more. Okay, so you can kind of see that's the picture of our hotel. You can't really see it right there. And this is where we're going to be traveling to. So that's that 3-hour drive, just over 3 hours. Here's some of the views. No.
That's right outside of La Paz. You'll see views like that.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let Jonathan pronounce the name of the village.
Chayapampa?
Chayapampa, which is on the Isla de Sol. Like I said, we went there last time. It was absolutely beautiful. The population, there are 162 students there. We're going to be working on these 2 classroom expansions, and Jordan, like I said, mentioned a greenhouse project as well.
162 students, that means that live in the village. That's not many children.
It says population and then it says 162 students. So what I'm guessing here. I don't know if you think
I'm guessing probably 162 students that go to that school. That's a pretty good size
to that school.
My guess is it's probably the students from the island. The island's not huge. I mean, it's not tiny. But
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So Isla de Sol, the island of the sun is what it's called.
I mean, it's a this island's a tourist destination. I mean, there are ruins there that we can hike to. There are no cars. Well, okay, so there we stayed at like
wishful thinking.
was like a little bed and breakfast that we stayed
We
at.
did. I'm guessing that we're not super close
Yeah, we're probably not right
to those
next that.
hotels that you would like to sneak
Is
into.
Copacabana really the place where they sing Copacabana?
Brazil.
Oh, that's not the same place.
So you can see the pictures here, though. Yeah, we're gonna be, right on the water.
So they need more space in there.
They need more space in their school, and in fact, so this is this. Oh, it might be. Yeah, so there are going to be some temples, some ruins. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to walk to some of those. But it is a very walkable island. I think you can walk from one end to the other. We didn't end up doing it, but it's doable.
Yeah,
Is this like Aztec? Maya?
they are.
Maya.
Is it mine?
No, Inca.
Inca, yes. Yeah, so they're
This
Incan
is one,
ruins.
this island, they both have the island of Sol now. I mean, the island of Sol now, the moon. They've had continuous inhabitants in those islands for 4,000 years plus. There's just some super, super old structures. And they, on one end, you can actually, there's actually take a fair amount more down from others, but you can actually travel underneath the island of Sol. And then on the water back, obviously,
Wow.
And the people are indigenous.
They're indigenous, yeah. The island's interesting too. You can kind of see in that top left picture how it's terraced. They've terraced it to be able to farm. Yeah. So most of, if not all, the island is terraced.
Is there an indigenous language besides Spanish that's spoken?
Yeah, is it? It's not Quechua. Quechua.
Quechua. Well, we'll see. I mean, again, it depends. Usually there are quite a few people. There will be people that speak Spanish. When we were in Bolivia the last time, a lot of people did not speak Spanish. So there's a lot of the game where you whisper something in the ear and you go through all the languages.
I would think that there's been a substantial amount of tourism in some parts of this island.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more than we get in the Alpine. And so there'll probably be more, you'll probably come in contact with a greater percentage of the population who speak Spanish and some of them English because of the tourism.
We'll see.
The Alpine doesn't have any tourism. And so they speak the native tongue and a little bit of local Spanish.
So technically, is the lake on the Altiplano or is it a little lower?
It's right on. Yeah.
So you can see some of the photos down here. I think that bottom left photo is the school building. So that'll be exciting. They've been working on this project for the last 6 months. So we're going to be, like I said, we're going to be plugging in. We're probably not going to be finishing a project with them, but they will continue to work on the project after we leave. Some more pictures. This must be from our extension.
That lake is like 2,000 feet.
Yep.
It's the highest navigable lake, meaning highest lake with boats other than like a canoe. Bolivia actually has a navy on that lake. You'll be able to see Peru. Peru's right there. I mean, 5 miles away, probably. So it's maybe. It's cool.
It will be cool. Details. All right, we're going to Bolivia.
I
So
don't think they're the one that's actually.
yeah, John's actually spent a lot of time out there, and he was just there. I mean, there was just a bunch of flooding and stuff down there. Okay, so a little bit about here. This is the photo I was looking for earlier in the bottom left-hand corner. That's probably very similar to where we're going to be sleeping in some sort of arrangement like that. So it will be indoors, but it will be without heating. So again, lots of layers, warm sleeping bags,
Earplugs.
earplugs, and then
We typically do a snoring room if possible. So
Dad
we banish
get
the
your own room.
snorers.
and John. Okay, perfect. And then a lot of times air mattresses are also pretty easy because it does get pretty uncomfortable to be just on a pad. So there is electricity. Yep. So just a little bit about the food. So Jonathan mentioned earlier, the staff in our team in Bolivia will be very careful with the food, the water. We'll be drinking bottled water while we're there. They'll be preparing all of the food very carefully, knowing that our stomachs can be a bit delicate, anytime that we travel. So we'll be eating some Bolivian food. Generally, they'll also have some American food, just, maybe cereal and stuff like that. So especially as, it's hard to be an entire week without, with eating foreign food the entire time. So they do try to do a bit of a mix. If there are certain like snacks or, power bars or something else, like if you have kind of some go-to things, we'll usually, bring something along. So feel free, especially with the kids and stuff that are gonna be on the trip, if there's something. Cheetos apparently is what I heard from this area of the room. Anyway, whatever it is, if there's like something that you just can't live without, bringing snacks is always great, but we're going to be eating very well. We'll probably be eating healthier than we normally would if we were home.
And they're fantastic cooks. Yeah. So yeah, you won't go hungry.
Yeah. So water bottles, like bringing, an empty water bottle. Oh, hi, Hadley. Come on in. You guys, this is Hadley Rampton.
Hi.
She is also joining us on this trip.
I apologize for getting late.
Oh, you're okay.
I thought it worked.
Here, sit wherever you can. Stay here. So Hadley is actually a painter, and she's going to be doing some painting on this trip, and she's very talented. So we're very excited to have her. We were just talking about our kind of being in the community, the kind of food we're going to be eating. It'll be really a mix of Bolivian food and American food, and it will probably eat very well.
Awesome.
Here's some other pictures. This one on the top left-hand corner, that's actually the trench that Jonathan mentioned earlier. Last time we were in Bolivia, we had shovels and pickaxes at 13,000 feet where you can hardly breathe. So it was really physically intensive last time. Jonathan also mentioned the importance of safety. It's easy when we go to Bolivia and we're in this kind of foreign situation, we're outside of our comfort zone. It's really easy for us to push ourselves more than we should. Overexertion is really a challenge on these trips. So one thing that we'll talk about a lot is we're really looking for each of you to kind of pay attention to yourself. Where are you at? Like, we're not there to go and dig trenches until we make ourselves sick or, we're not having a good time. Like, one of our main goals on this trip is to have a good time, to interact with the community, and to stay healthy. So that particular trip was a very physically intensive trip. I'm hoping that this project is going to be a little bit less so because we're not digging in trenches, but it's still going to be challenging. And as I mentioned, we're going to be exposed to the elements all day. So we just want to really take care of ourselves. That might mean taking a nap. It might mean saying, hey, I'm going to go, and the kids want to, we're going to take the kids to play inside somewhere with others. I mean, who knows? We're just going to be very flexible, but we're going to be looking for everyone to be communicating with us. If you're not feeling well at any given point, please talk to us, and we'll do everything that we can to make sure that everyone is healthy, safe, and having a good time.
And with that, if there's a morning or an afternoon where you want to, if there's something you want to go see or go to a villager's house, or we're flexible. We're not here to say you got to be working at 9 a.m. and big thing is let us know what you're doing. If you're not going to be with the group, but we're open to different things like that. That's the biggest thing, like Becca said, is a intercultural interaction. And so we want to facilitate that as much as possible. The project's important, but more important is you guys getting to know the culture, know the people, and making that connection.
For example, Hadley's probably going to be doing some painting, which is going to be great. I think she'll do exhibit when she gets back to Salt Lake, which will be exciting. We have some kids, so we're going to want to be really flexible to make sure the kids are having a good time. Hopefully we'll be, playing soccer and doing some other things. So there's going to be a lot of flexibility here.
See, our son's coming. He's 7. He'll be there. You 2, and
I think
so
it's just
I think
3.
3.
Yeah, another 14-year-old and another 1-year-old.
Not sure if they're coming yet. I haven't totally confirmed. Might happen, but
That'll be fun. And typically the kids just play.
There's a lot of
they kind
that.
of show
Blow
up in the
bubbles
morning and then they
together.
just kind of disappear and run around the village.
That's great.
Pretty much.
It is.
Isn't that safe in the village? You get invited to a village home.
Yeah, so the biggest risk with that is really food and water. It's not uncommon for them to offer something, and my recommendation is if it's something out of their cooking pots or out of their water bowl or pot, you can say I'm okay, or no, if you just say I'm not feeling well or something, that's okay, because there's a pretty decent chance that if you eat that, you won't be feeling well. Just just because they could, their hygiene standards are a bit different than ours, and so the last thing we want is someone sick on this trip, and you spending your time
For sure. It is a good question though, and I agree. Like sometimes when someone welcomes you and you feel like you should eat something, and it is a conversation that we have pretty frequently because it does happen. But I have that feeling all the time too, where I'm like, oh, I should just eat it. Like it's fine. I'm just gonna do it. So find a leader, which is gonna be Jonathan, and tell him to eat it. And then everyone else will eat it. It's just that's a strategy I use.
And then as far as the kids playing stuff, what we'll probably do is talk with Willie and Maxie when we get there and say, okay, how do we want to handle this? Do they stick around us to play? Are they okay to go off with the other kids? Just so we know where they are. At the end of the day, we're not wondering where the kids are somewhere. And just make sure everyone's safe.
So just a few more photos here. This is from one of our last expeditions. You can see on the top right-hand corner, that's what they call an eco classroom. And I think this is the goal of the current classroom, is to create, it's kind of like half classroom, half gardens. So the idea is that the kids are learning about, growing vegetables, and also lets in more light and heat into the building, which is much needed, especially at that altitude. So pretty cool stuff.
Prior to this, the classrooms are so cold and the students are so hungry, they weren't learning. It's hard to learn when they're hungry and they're cold. So this helps the students have nutritional food. It also teaches them how to do a garden and warms up the classroom.
What will the temperatures be, do you think, when we're there?
That
Minus 1.
So
Pop
during
quiz.
the day, it looked like it was 50 to 60, and at night, 40 to 45.
Okay.
So lots of layers essentially, because
Yeah.
we will get cold because we'll be outside all day long. So, okay. A few more pictures here, just give you an idea. Okay, so what does it mean to be a successful expeditioner? I'll let you take this one, John.
Okay, so number one is being flexible with the situation. Understanding that things may not turn out, or we may not do exactly what we planned that day, or the project may not turn out exactly as we thought. Anything can come up. So it's just being flexible with your timing, with your expectations, and what we do.
What?
Oh, that was me.
There's no crying on this slide.
No crying and flexibility.
Yeah, so just being flexible with what we do, when we do it, how we do it. They will the villagers will likely work differently than we do. We may see ways that they could be more efficient. That's not why we're there. If they carry one bucket of concrete at a time, and we carry one bucket of concrete at a time. That's just how we do it. Having a sense of humor, what we do. That's just having fun with with the group, with the villagers, not taking ourselves too seriously, and just enjoying being there. It's Bolivia. It's one of the most amazing places I've been, and the people are amazing. And the first day they'll be a little apprehensive of us, who we are, but by the end of the week, you're best friends. So just have fun with everyone. And then mindfulness. I take that as taking time to understand what we're doing there, why we're there. Think about the impact that we're making there. It's not so much that we're there to work on the school or anything else, but one way that it was put once, this was the country director from Mexico. People, when we're on the trip, people said, wouldn't it be more efficient or just better if we donated the money, because we're paying a lot of money to go, if we just donated the money to Choice, to the village. We said, that's one way to look at it. We said, also think about what it means to the people that you're willing to pay, and you're willing to take time to fly from the U.S. down to Bolivia to help them in their situation. Think about what that means to them, to know that someone thousands of miles away cares about them and their well-being. That's a pretty cool thought. That's pretty powerful. So just keep that in mind while we're there, that we're not saviors to them, but we let them know that someone up here cares about their well-being and wants them to be better off.
Is this village a village that needs the help a little bit more than other villages in the area? Is that why they were chosen for us to assist them, or how was that process?
Part of it's need, part of it's timing, where they are in the vetting process. So each country director vets the villages before we start working with them to make sure that they really are committed to whatever it is that they're doing. So it can be a combination of a lot of things, but they said, okay, for this trip, this is a great fit. So.
Okay, 3 key rules as we're on an expedition. The first one is no gifts. And I will say that I know we're working on a potential Eagle Scout project. But the no gifting in general, Choice is not a handout model. We do understand in international development, there are times when there's a disaster, when disaster strikes, it may be necessary to provide housing, water, food. So in emergency situations and in general in this industry, it does sometimes make sense to give a handout, right? Trace's model of development, though, is very much about building leadership and capacity, and gifting is really not something that we do. So we ask that you don't bring candy, don't bring toys. We can talk about the things that we can bring, like we can bring a soccer ball, and we can bring some bubbles, and we can bring other things that are going to allow us to interact with the community that we can, for the Eagle Scout project, for example, we've been talking about maybe some laminated learning tools. So there are some things that we can do and work with our in-country teams to understand what kinds of resources we might bring that are going to be able to help the community. Another issue with gifting, and you see this with kids sometimes, when you give one kid something, but then it's like, well, what about the other kids? It can create division between people. And so in the case that we have something that we're bringing, in the case that we have the soccer balls or something like that, they will then go to the headmaster, where they're going to be able to kind of, it's something that's a resource that the entire community can use. I'll let you take the next one.
So no proselytizing. Some of us have strong religious beliefs, and Choice is non-denominational. So there's no religious affiliation with it. And so when we go into the communities, we want to keep it that way. And so, we're not saying you can't talk about your church or religion or anything like that, but we don't proselytize to the communities, to other people in the groups. They have their religion, we have ours, and for this week, we're going to keep it that way. And, if the conversation naturally comes up, you can talk about it, but it's not, hey, I want you to do this or do that. So there's Catholicism, which is big, but a lot of it is just traditional Incan religion in some cases. A lot of times in these communities, you find kind of a mix of the two. Just over time, they've blended together. I've seen them wear Coca-Cola as part of that ritual. So it really depends on specific communities and how they've meshed. So we can certainly find that out when we get there, because that's always an interesting part to see.
And just one other thing I want to tack onto that is, within the group, we are all coming together for a common purpose, because we believe in when we help others, we're making the entire world becomes a better place, right? When we have a more equitable world, all boats rise together. So I feel like sometimes with the, whether it's religion or something else, politics is another big one, right? It's, for me, the way I think about it is it can be kind of divisive for a group when we start talking about politics or when we start talking about religion. So we do try to just really focus on what we're trying to do together on the trip and our kind of common and shared purpose around why we're together. No promises?
Yeah, with no promises, we don't want to promise we don't want to make promises we can't keep, basically. It's tempting to say, hey, yeah, I'll send you something, or,
I'll be back in 6 months.
I'll be here. Yeah, we've had cases where people say, well, give me your phone number. I'm going to come up to the U.S. and I'll find you. And, so things like that, it's, we just say we're here for this. Choice is here for you. But, yeah, don't promise that you'll be back or that you'll give certain things, or don't promise that Choice will do something for them that they're not capable of. So we're there to work on that specific project, and that's what we'll do.
And then, sorry, just to tack on again.
Yeah.
I mean, something else to think about when sometimes we do come back and there is other ways that people want to get involved as a result, right? Which makes sense if someone owns a business and they want to involve their employees. Sorry. So there are plenty of ways that you might continue to be involved after an expedition, but yeah, the promising over there is, we can talk to in-country directors when we get back. We can talk to our teams to see how other ways we might be able to support or plug in, but on the spot, no promises. Packing. Wow, this is a list. I'm going to show you both pages really quickly. Lots and lots of things here. So first thing I want to say is don't buy everything on this list. This is a very comprehensive list. Oh man, suggestions on packing. So first and foremost, I would, like I said before, the multiple, layers. We're going to be exposed all day, so we're going to want hats and sunscreen, warm gear, warm sleeping bags. What do you want to say about the packing list, John? How do we tackle this?
Personally, for me, the simpler the better. It's big. There are lots of things that you can add in this. I'd say some of the must-haves. I mean, good shoes for sure. Mm-hmm. It says sandals or flip-flops and swimsuit for the shower. There's a good chance we may not shower. There may not be a shower available until we get back to the hotel. But you can bring those if you want. I mean, really, everything on here you can use, mm-hmm. but you don't have to bring 70 pounds of gear for this. Mm-hmm. It's typically kind of one backpack that I bring. One thing that I would recommend is a change of clothes for after. Put it in a Ziploc bag, and that bag is sacred. You don't touch it. You don't do anything with it. Those are your clothes for when we get back into La Paz. It's going to feel really good to have a clean, dry, nice set of clothes that haven't been worn or dusty or dirty.
Do you recommend more of a duffel bag packing? Obviously suitcases are probably
people bring them
hard to handle.
In this case, because we don't have to backpack in somewhere. Like if you want to bring a roller bag or a duffel bag, or you can really bring anything on this.
I just stick mine in. So, I mean, mine's not huge. Say again?
On your sleeping bag, how do you pack it?
I just put it in my duffel bag. Yeah, I have a duffel bag about this big, and everything just fits in that.
A good rule of thumb is if you don't want to have to carry it, buy yourself for a mile or two. If there's an emergency, come pack it. And if your butler gets stuck there and bag for a mile or two, yeah, always seems to happen.
I would say definitely bring sunscreen and hats, especially being that high in the altitude.
Sunscreen's a must.
Yeah, you will get burned.
At that altitude, the atmosphere's so thin. Even when you think you're not going to.
Yeah.
Another thing is I always recommend, if possible, if you're able to borrow things that you don't necessarily have. I always feel bad because it can be really expensive. I mean, there's tons of stuff on this list. So, yeah, I mean, we're in Utah. A lot of us have, friends that camp and stuff. So a lot of the gear you might be able to borrow, like a headlamp, for example. So if you guys have any questions on the packing list, again, feel free to reach out. But I would definitely read through all of the necessary items. Think about, whether or not that's something you want to bring. The recommended items, again, certainly don't buy everything. Like a small calculator, who came up with that one?
I don't know.
That's crazy. That's on the list, a small calculator. Do you have a phone? I mean, the phone has a calculator. Anyway.
Yeah. I'd recommend, the day bag, just, I don't know, they have ticks or chiggers there, or mosquitoes, or.
No, I mean, the mosquitoes is too high in elevation for sure. I mean, we didn't have any issues really when we were there.
No.
Mm-mm. It's a good question.
You're fine in just pants and shirts.
Even if the pants have still
Yeah, you're fine.
And it will be so cold that we're going to be, so we don't have to wear skirts or anything in the village with them too. So.
With the cultural sharing items, like Becca said, bubbles are popular with kids. Women and girls really seem to like nail polish.
That's really fun. Even for the boys, it's fun. And I will say one thing I love about the fingernail polish is that you realize very quickly, we have all of this kind of cultural programming around the way we grow up. So when someone starts painting a little girl's fingers and then a boy comes up and they're like, they don't, paint my fingers. So it's really interesting as we kind of untangle some of our ideas about culture and stuff. So boys and girls can paint their fingernails.
Yeah.
Throwing that out there.
You mentioned soccer balls earlier. If you bring them, get them to the head.
Yeah, like the principal or something.
What about like a football for us to throw it around?
Yeah, that's fine. Football or frisbee or
the football, but you bring it just to have something to do with it.
that's fine.
We're good with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You hand it over, take it home, or do they? They recommend you take it back with you.
We Kentucky and Country Director were there, but I think anything.
Yes, I mean for us.
So anything. No, go ahead.
Things like football, frisbees, you can leave those, but so we give it to the headmaster or give it to Maxie and Willie. If they're a group of people that have wanted to just leave their sleeping. And so what we would do in that case is we would give it to Willie and Maxie, and they'll make sure that it gets to, someone who needs it, or that maybe they'd save it for another expedition for someone who needs it, something like that. I've never seen them ask for it. I don't know if you know.
I haven't really either. I think because a lot of these communities have been working with Choice for a long time, they understand the model. You don't get that sort of most of the time. I do know this is a newer community that we're working in. It's been 6 months that they've been that we've been working with them. So I mean, it could happen. It could happen. But if it does, feel free to come talk to one of us, or we'll resolve it. As long as we're not handing, I think the main thing is when we're just here, have this. That's when it mostly becomes a problem.
I think I've heard somewhere that some cultures do believe in sharing everything that is one person has is everyone's.
I mean,
true
in this case, no.
It's just safer to give it to someone who's kind of an authority figure, so that we don't have to deal with those sorts of issues. Okay, so we're gonna move on from packing list. Preparation, visa. Okay, this stuff is really important. A travel visa is required. We can obtain that upon arrival at the airport. So following requirements: $160 in cash, 2 passport photos, completed visa application, proof of return, international airline ticket. That needs to be a copy. That needs to be printed out. Copy of credit card, front or bank statement. Choice letter of invitation, which Choice will provide us. So I did learn today, I didn't know this until today, that the yellow fever vaccination is apparently a bit of a gray area. It looks like it is no longer required unless you come from a country that is an issue. So I don't know if you have your yellow fever yet, but that is the most current information that I have on yellow fever.
Unless we're coming from the country where it's endemic.
Yep.
It's not here.
Right.
So the one completed visa application, that's to download before we go and complete it?
We can download it. That's what I would suggest. I would download it, complete it before we go. Yes. Print it.
Oh, go ahead. That's your question.
Do you guys work with different from this?
Yes. So go to a Walgreens and get, they can do passport photos. So yeah, they're going to be separate photos that you have to get done. Because I think they'll
So I was just, for those who came in late, my name is Chris Phillips. I'm the expeditions coordinator here. Sorry to talk you right over you. Let's see if I can
come over here.
This way. This way. Regarding that choice letter of invitation, we actually had a staff member here who went into Bolivia a few weeks ago and had some trouble at immigration because he didn't have a copy of the official itinerary. So we'll get from William, we've got an expedition to Bolivia going out this Friday. And so we got from William Maxima a packet of information that has a notarized itinerary. It's got a participant list and all this. So you will definitely want to print that off, take it with you in your carry-on baggage so that you have it, because you won't get a chance to retrieve your baggage when you get to immigration. So that's why you want to have it with you on the plane. So just keep that in mind. We'll remind you when the time comes, but yeah.
So you can print that off online. Is that something that you do on the visa? Okay. All right. So the link will go on the Facebook page where you can download the document. And yeah, just so these things, having them with you when you arrive, it's going to be super important. And $160 in cash, I would bring that exact change. Like I mean, they'll probably give you change, but US cash. Yep. I wouldn't. Yeah, go ahead.
One weird nuance with this: bring new bills. Go to your bank and get new bills, because if you give them crumpled, torn, wrinkled bills, they won't take them. And last time we went, a couple people had old bills, and it was a hassle to get through.
So brand new, crisp, exactly $160, and everything else on this list.
It's just one of those be flexible type things.
160 is for the visa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Per person.
But you can fill that out, you can do that in advance.
But you'll pay there at immigration in La Paz at the airport. So there's a little room that they kind of lock you in, and you have to funnel through.
You have to give them the passwords to your phone. Bad jokes, right now. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Well, Jordan said, have you had experience with this?
with the credit card.
No, saying it was Jordan.
I haven't.
So Jordan said, he said that it's, some of this is dependent on the trip, and they might ask for this and they might not. Like Lonnie has gone to Bolivia before, and he's never been told you can't leave the airport without a printed copy of your itinerary. This time he did. Jordan's gone sometimes and they haven't asked for any money information. He's gone before and they've said, we want to see a copy of your credit card or bank statement. You can block out the numbers, but they just want to make sure you have resources coming into the country. So what about with kids? I would assume with their parents would be okay.
As long as we have our phone.
Yeah.
They're
But
minors.
just, it's better safe than sorry. We bring all of this and we don't need any of it. Great.
Yeah.
But we might need some or all.
Okay, so I hope just to
Real
make sure.
quick, just what do you recommend on extra cash to bring? Is there any expenses to us that will need extra cash? Or is there opportunities?
And is it going to be in US dollars or
So you'll have opportunities to exchange money there if you want. I prefer to, I mean, with Wells Fargo, you can order it beforehand online, and you just say, you know, you want X amount in Bolivian pesos, and you'll pick it up. I typically take about $300. That's food, that's souvenirs, that's, I typically don't end up spending all that, but you know, it's handy to have some cash. So I take a mix of currency and US.
In terms of what's covered though on the expedition, Saturday to Saturday, food, transportation, everything is covered by the expedition fee. So what Jonathan is talking about is like anything above and beyond. So we're going to be in Copacabana. It's probably going to be, you know, there'll probably be some cool shops and stuff like that. So if there are any sort of like souvenirs or anything like that that you want to buy, then that would be kind of the extra cash. And then, like you said, usually at the hotel, you'll be able to exchange money as well. So I usually like to bring some American dollars, but bringing Bolivian is obviously a fantastic idea as well.
Yeah, the hotels are usually pretty good about, unless everyone goes to the front desk at once to exchange, that they typically have fun. So,
okay, any
it's
other?
typically a better conversion rate at the hotel than at the airport.
Oh, that's good.
So, no, same with the bank.
Okay, any other questions on this very important slide? No? Okay. Additional reading. Wow. I don't know if anyone has read this. I think you have, but and we'll repost this link. So the trip itinerary we kind of went through, Bolivia checklist, expedition manual, Bolivia appendix. All of this is included in a link that we're going to post again in the Facebook page.
Yes. So, I mean, the itinerary, if you don't have it yet, we'll put that on Facebook. It's also available on the website, I believe. Because this trip have a paycheck? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
I
do.
thought so. Can't keep them all almost right. So yeah, so the itinerary should be on there via link, as well as all these materials. But if you need to get some of these, you also post on Facebook.
Yeah, so it's just kind of a good, reminder of things that you may want to bring. The Bolivia appendix is great because it talks about where we are, it talks about elevation, it just gives you a full overview of the entire trip. So, and then on top of that, I'm going to post my cell phone number. I've talked to most of you. Please feel free to just call me directly. John and I are very available to, as we get closer to the trip and you're packing and whatever else, like we are available to chat. So feel free to reach out to us directly with any questions that you have. Q&A. We made it. That was a lot of information. And I know some of you came in at different points in the process. So is there anything that you want to talk a little bit more about? Any questions?
I have one question. I don't know if you guys talked about when everyone's arriving. Okay, and so we all have to be on the itinerary or wherever it was. We're supposed to be there by 8 a.m. at the airport on
Saturday.
That's Saturday. Okay, so I'm arriving at like 2 a.m. that morning. So can I go to the hotel and sleep?
So I will be there. I'm going to be getting in early.
Okay.
So if anyone else is getting early in your case, so
I'm just wondering if I have to
yes, we will figure something out for you. Because I'll have a room so you can just come in.
Okay. Because that was my other question. That like, are we all, for those coming, however early, staying at like the same hotel?
So we're leaving directly from the airport.
Oh, we are leaving it directly from the
Yes.
airport. Okay.
So, well, why don't we take this offline and we'll figure
can,
out
okay.
what we need to do.
Great.
Because I don't have an answer right now, but
Right.
I will already be there. So whatever arrangements need to be made, including a hotel for you when you get in,
Okay.
we can figure that
Just
out.
even like a few hours. Great.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I'm on the same flight as you then.
You get in with me.
What time?
I don't know, 2 days before. So I don't know what time it is.
I gotta say, it's wonderful to hear that all these people have their flights. They know when they're arriving.
Yeah, that's true.
That is great. I'm so happy for you guys. Like I said, I wish I could join you. I kind of need to know when you're getting there. So if you could please, because I don't have your itineraries yet. Yeah. So I'm encouraged to hear that you guys have bought them, but I do need to encourage you to get them to me. So yeah, please do send me your itinerary, your application. I don't have as of the beginning of this meeting, I didn't have a single application from this group. I did get yours. I'm sorry, I got yours yesterday in person. Just hasn't been processed. I do have your itinerary, but also we need a copy of your passport of the photo page in there. So you can send it via PDF or JPEG. Okay, we'll make copies of these before you go. Or can I just keep these? That's cool. Okay. Yeah, if you don't have your itinerary yet, we do have a preferred travel agent. Her name is Blair Green. She's fantastic. She can ensure that people are arriving kind of together on the same flights and that sort of thing. But anyway, any and all application materials, send them to expeditions@choicehumanitarian.org. And then and I'll follow up with you later. Great.
Bolivia wants to start a sewing cooperative, the women there do. So if you turn around, if you can see that suitcase and that package, there's a suitcase and a package there that's a sewing machine. They want to bring 4 sewing machines down to Bolivia to help these women start this sewing cooperative as an income generating tool for them. So how many of you booked your tickets through Blair? Did you guys go through Blair? Okay, because if you booked through Blair, you get 3 sets of luggage because it's for a humanitarian organization. That's another good reason to go through Blair. She can get this good prices, but then she also, because it's for a humanitarian trip, there's an extra baggage allowance. So for those that have the extra baggage allowance, I would really appreciate any volunteers that want to take the sewing machine is in the suitcase. So that could just be your third bag, because I doubt any of us are really going to take 3 bags. And then others could just take, the lid is just, that's just an empty lid that you could stick in a suitcase and fill with clothes or whatever. So that could go with people that don't necessarily have the 3 bags. But for the people that do have the 3 bags, if I could get some volunteers to help take 4 of those down, that would be really appreciated by the women down there.
Any other questions? What about from some of the younger people coming? Do you have any questions at all? No?
You guys like potatoes?
Love.
Are there a lot of potatoes there? Yeah.
You're gonna need a lot of potatoes. All sorts of colors.
What about on the call, Stephanie and Lauren? I know you're here. I don't know if you're muted right now, but do you have any questions at all?
Nope, I'm good. This was really informative.
Kason was wondering about books. So he's got a ton of books that he wants to bring. We didn't know if we'd be able to bring those or anything else.
So I did just talk to Jordan briefly, and he actually did mention books, that books might be an option, but he wanted me to check in first with the in-country team just to see where they're at and if it's something that they'd be able to use. Are they books in English? Are they kids' books?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me get back to you on that.
Okay, cool.
But I love the idea, and that's really sweet that he's thinking that way.
Yeah, he's super excited.
Okay, any other questions?
Trap insurance, what do you guys go through?
I got mine through Blair, a travel agent. There are a couple different sites you can get it for $70.
Well, yeah, if you go through Blair, then she can arrange it for it automatically. If you've already bought your flights, in the expedition manual, I believe it's pages 9, 10, or 11, somewhere in there. In the expedition manual, there are, I think, 4 recommended companies you can go through.
Okay.
Sounds right.
That's a requirement still, right?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
And we just need a copy of your insurance card just so we know that you got it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Other questions at all? Comments? How did I do on time? Was I even close? Okay. Okay, well, as I mentioned, Jonathan and I will be in touch. It sounds like we all have a little bit of work to do in terms of getting our applications and all of that squared away.
And we just mail those to you.
Those will go to Chris.
Yeah, email.
Email is better than mail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think I'll go ahead and just sign off here. Stephanie and Lauren, we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks.